Right. We should be live. Hello. How's everybody doing? How's things? How's life? How's the universe? How has your week been? Hello. Yeah. How's everybody doing? How's things? Apologies for touching my face a lot. I've had a bit of a bad reaction, so ice packs and tea towels are kind of it for me. But yeah, how's everybody? How is everybody doing? Position the ice pack in tea towel better. Yeah. Hello, be right. How you doing, man? How's things? Like I said, I apologize for the ice pack and the tea towel, but my face hurts. um, I have lots wrong with me this week actually, but we'll get to that. I'm sure. I'm sure Ish will appear asking for a status report. Oh. But yeah, how you doing? How's things? Hello, Chris. How you doing, man? How's things? This ice pack is dreadful. There we go. How's everybody doing? I'm doing great, as you can tell. You washing up right now? Nice. Hello, Simon. Ow. How you doing? It hurts. Oh, dear. Ow. I mean, I didn't say that, YouTube. uh, I've had a hell of a week. So, what have I done? Just a reaction to a treatment. I don't know, electrolysis. But my chin's all puffed up. And rashy and sore, so just trying to pass it down. Hello, Ish, on the wrong platform. How you doing, man? How's things? It should be better the next few days. You're on Twitch cooking. Fair enough. I mean, Chris is washing up, so. I mean, kind of, Chris. Yeah, kinda. I'm well, except it's not nearly close enough to the weekend. Fair, fair. You're on YouTube chat too. Nice. God damn it. Yeah, something like that, Chris. What's with the desperate tension? Yeah, it's a bit off. Just a bad reaction this week to electrolysis, a treatment, if you like. It'll be fine. So I started around have been building, inventing this week. Not much because I've been barely coping. Hello, Jim. How you doing, man? How's things? Uh, Hello, Simon S63. UK Simon, how you doing? Um, Fair enough. Thanks for stopping by. Hope your pickup goes all right. I don't know. Um, yeah. Uh, not 24 hours after the last stream, so last Friday, um, I partially dislocated my left knee, which I think is called a subluxation. Um, I am hypermobile. Um, this doesn't hurt or anything. I broke this wrist, so it's a bit harder to do it on this one, but I'm still most of the way there. Um, but yeah, I was we had I had the in-laws coming up basically, and you know, we were doing that last minute sort of tidy cleaning that you do when you realize, oh crap, I haven't tidied the house in like 3 months. Should probably do that. Um, I was like leaning against the bath trying to clean the like shower screen, and I heard this really loud pop, and a really excruciating pain in my left knee. Like collapsed to the floor, you know, holding it. Um, and yeah, it still hurts. I saw I have hydrotherapy for my joint problems and back pain at the moment, and I went to hydrotherapy on Wednesday, so yesterday, and my physiotherapist who was in a pool, so that makes it hydrotherapy. I don't know. Said that it's um I've likely injured my meniscus, which is the cartilage between your knee bone, or your upper and lower legs, basically. Because I went, um, and yeah, so I have a brand new knee brace that doesn't really fit, which is why I'm not wearing it. Uh, I was suggested to use some skinny. I don't know how to say that word. Tape. To tape it up, which is what I've currently got on my knee. It is getting better, but my god, I have struggled this week. um, and everything else has hurt more, and stupid stuff like this happens. So yeah. Wait, you can feel pain? I thought that was your superpower. That's all I feel. I would say your frustration could be represented by tearing your hair out, but not quite in this instance. Yeah, no, it's really more uh, stabbing, electrocution, and then tearing the hair out. Hundreds of times. Gotta love life. Do you though? Do you? You really? Because I don't. Um. So yeah, I'm gonna be covering my chin a lot because you know it looks bad. Um. But yeah. Commander Classified, hello. How you doing? How's things? Good to have you. It's been a wee whiley. Ice pack going back on. I can't remember why I think I was like looking through old footage or something, like an old stream or whatever, and I saw your name. And I was wondering what you'd gotten up to. Enjoyed the NAS video, nice unit, but it's a few 3.5 base short for my needs. Fair enough. Are you looking for 6 or 8? Actually, first question, how much storage do you need? Because even in my overkill Threadripper NAS. I am using 6 drives. I use 4 in my personal NAS, and then 3 in my offsite. It's 3 18 TB drives. I actually did it's still going. Right, there we go. It's been a few. Injured myself really badly in February, was off work for 6 months. Also in a major car accident, which didn't help. Just getting back to work full time now. Well, fair enough. I assume by the fact that you're getting back to work that you're at least on the mend, if not fully healed. So um, that's good to hear at least. But yeah, I hope you're doing all right. Healing well, all that jazz. Sticks 8 TB currently. Okay, and you're looking to just put those 8 TB drives in a different box, right? Because the obvious next question I have is, why not swap to 18 TB? I can't do maths in my head. Hold on. Yeah, so you could go to, I mean, 4 18 TB drives and you'd get 72 TB of storage. I'm getting my TrueNAS scale NAS/server set up this weekend at a mate's place because why use my own power when I can use theirs? I mean, if you've got a good VPN and a good internet connection, I guess fair enough. I guess it depends what you want to use it for as well, because obviously for me, at least my work NAS Overkill, its main purpose is to be an editing NAS. Like, I edit my footage straight from it, so like I render footage on my main PC straight to the NAS, and then this is no longer code. And then when I edit the video, like all the videos you see, the footage never leaves the NAS basically, so it's always at least somewhat protected once it's off an SD card anyway. And it then gets nightly backed up to my offsite NAS as well. So I only have 2 copies of the data instead of 3, like the 321 says, but I do have at very least 2. Swap them into a 6-bay NAS. Can't afford a new NAS and 4 big drives. I mean, yeah, fair enough. I understand. But yeah. The VPN is the only thing I didn't get working properly before I moved out. It would just be used for game servers, Jellyfin, and backing up some files. Fair enough. I want new drives, but I'd have to buy them on credit card, and that's not a good idea right now. No, it's not. It's been challenging to say the least. Not 100%, but I'm getting through it. Just finishing up work on a 1947 MGTC. Rebuilt the entire fuel system, brakes, interior, and top. Nice. Well, on the health front, I am no stranger to not doing well. And so I can not only sympathize, but empathize far too greatly with your, I mean, not your exact circumstances, obviously, but, yeah, not being well. And so, yeah, I can only, apologizing doesn't feel right, but it's also the very British thing to do. I hope you're doing good. I hope that things get better quickly, or as quick as they can. And nice on the car. I can't say that I, off the top of my head, I know what a 1947 MGTC looks like, but I can imagine it because a lot of cars, you know, long bonnet, you know, drop top roof kind of thing. I imagine anyway. Uh, I run four 15 TB enterprise SSDs with 45 TB of storage and one redundant. The only problem is the drives are 20k new each when I bought mine secondhand a lot cheaper. We were talking about this last week, and I remember you saying, that's quite the feat, really. Um, yeah. I'm gonna have to go in with a second ice pack. Alex, hello. How you doing? How's things? Apologies for the ice pack in my face, but it's burning. For not to work on British cars if I can help it. I mean, I spend most of my time under German cars, and you know, newer ones at least. But I know the pain. Um, yeah, if it was made by British Leyland, run, don't walk. I want to put that my left leg. Oh, it still hurts. What happened? It's just a reaction to treatment, I guess, electrolysis. And I also dislocated my left knee, or partially dislocated, subluxated my left knee last Friday night. And it still hurts like mad. I'm hypermobile, so it's uh, uh dislocations and subluxations are meant to be more common, although I've managed to not do it as far as I'm aware ever before. But also things are kind of degrading. Yeah. Do I have any experience designing, prototyping, manufacturing, and commercializing hardware? Do you have any advice for an American entrepreneur trying to develop a new product? Funnily enough, I am one of the few, especially tech YouTubers, that has, in fact, designed, prototyped, manufactured, and commercialized hardware. I am technically sponsored by them, but I also have been buying from them since well before they sponsored. If you want to design hardware, this is OSRTT Pro. This is my open source response time tool. It's the fourth iteration, fourth iteration. I designed the circuit board. I wrote all the firmware that goes on the boards. I wrote all the desktop software. I 3D modeled the cases that go around this. I don't have the units built; they're built to order. So, yeah. My open source latency testing tool is just out of reach, just down there. And so yeah, I do have a lot of experience actually. I'm currently working on another tool, which is the open source peripheral testing tool, which is a really funky looking PCB. I like it. It has limit switches for the motor built onto the back side of the board. And so yeah. Yes, I do. What was the question? Advice, right. I think it very much depends on what your what sort of product you're looking to make. It's back. Yeah, what sort of product you're looking to make, what expertise and experience you already have. Get used to reading technical documentation. Yeah, if you're planning on like designing and prototyping your like an electronics device, you will very much need to learn data sheets. Okay. I'm helping a friend build a tool. Actually, I'm helping two different people build their devices. And I think the first bit of advice that I gave is understand your requirements. So I don't know. Let's take the response time tool as a as an example. When, say, picking the microcontroller for that tool, I needed to consider a lot of different factors, mostly the software support and the built-in analog to digital converter. Those are the features that were most important to me. Stuff like the like DRAMs, or the RAM size, the flash size, all that sort of stuff, is also important. But working out what your key things are. Let's say that you're doing some sort of motion sensor, or like something that requires you to track the motion of an object, right? That requires either an accelerometer, or if you also need to capture rotation data, a gyroscope, and or what's often called an IMU, an inertial measurement unit. So a 6-axis is up, down, left, right, forward and back, and rotation in every axis as well. But you'll not just want to look at how many axes it can do, but also like the sensitivity of those axes, the range of acceleration that it can handle. You know, if you need to track something that's going to move really fast, then you need a much higher G sensor than if you're wanting to track, like, put a VR arm tracker, right? If you want to be able to track people's movements, that needs to be able to move pretty fast, you know, playing Beat Saber or whatever, but also you need to be able to do it really slowly if you want to do like VR painting or something. I don't know. So yeah, you need to understand your requirements, and that process can actually be quite painful because you'll think you understand the requirements. You'll buy hardware to start prototyping, and then you'll realize that you absolutely didn't understand the requirements, and you buy more hardware. Designing and developing stuff, even just like solo, like I do, is an expensive endeavor. So yeah, be willing to put in the work. um, yeah, asking me generalized questions is normally not the best way to get useful information. So if you have any specific questions, please do ask. I'm happy to answer. I just can't think of anything else to say that would be useful besides just rambling. Come on, classified, please take care of yourself. I try, but my wife's away this week as well. Uh, so I've been sort of left to fend for myself. I'm already kind of disabled, and like doing stuff like just putting dishes in the dishwasher or cooking myself, especially dinner, is a difficult task. I do rely on her a lot for those things, and uh yeah, to not have even the option is, especially when I've literally just dislocated my knee and it still hurts. Like, it's gonna take at least a month for this to heal properly. Um, Sucks. What's your workflow like from the moment you have an idea to then try and prove the concept? And at that point, do you contact the PCB manufacturer? Right. Uh, Second thing first. PCB manufacturing. If you do use a service like JLC PCB, which again, I'm sponsored by them, there is a link somewhere that will give you some extra discount codes, I think, and tell them that I sent them your way. But JLC is a sort of one-stop shop for, at very least, low volume manufacturing. They can do high volume manufacturing, it gets expensive, but also it's probably less money than getting someone else, like actually contacting individual factories. Anyway, point is, especially for prototyping, someone like JLC is fantastic. And if you're scaling up to even a couple hundred, maybe even a couple thousand like units at a time, they're a pretty great source. You don't need to contact them. You just, especially for single prototypes, you just use either KiCad, or obviously they prefer their own EDA software, Easy EDA. But yeah, you design the PCB, you upload the Gerber file. If you want them to then also assemble them, which trust me, you do, you then also upload the BOM and pick and place files. And it's basically a like 5-minute process to order as many PCBs as you really want. You can then also do stuff like paneling. So if you do end up like finalizing your design and then going, yeah, no, I want 100, 1,000 of these, you can design the panels yourself with their guidance, which I think saves you a decent bit of money. But yeah, so the actual PCB manufacturing side of things is so easy these days. And also, like, it is very easy to just go to Alibaba and find manufacturers for stuff. There are other potentially more local manufacturers. I mean, you said American. I could not tell you who makes PCBs in the States. I know Eisler does in Germany, if you were, Europe and more local, but yeah, for a cost perspective, yeah, can't beat someone like JLC. As for well, how did I get into the space? I've just been making stuff for years. Pretty sure PCBWay is also Chinese. Pretty sure. I could be wrong. They might have a facility in the States. I don't know, but yeah, I've been making, or at least trying to make stuff for years. I mean, I credit it to autism, but who cares? The I've also just been like gradually doing little projects that have taught me the skills I need. So I started doing 3D modeling years ago, which then means that it's now really easy for me to design. Like, this is a complete prototype, but like this is, a little case with a nice fillet. The printer failed me there, but with screw holes to mount it, and wow, I haven't opened this in a while. Little, pegs for the display to sort of clip into and that sort of stuff. They're relatively simple, but it worked great, so who cares? But yeah, so like I had some skills from that. I did electronics at A level, which honestly mostly just gave me a false confidence to then stumble my way back into electronics almost a decade later. And I had at least some foundational knowledge to build upon. And then yeah, just spent a lot of time like reading data sheets, looking at like working out how other stuff works to emulate it or sometimes improve it. Yeah. As for the workflow, if I have an idea, so let's say because I'm actually mid workflow in this tool process, and this is actually a sort of, I guess, version 2, because the version 1 is this thing that I showed off in a video a little while ago, but it just doesn't have the rigidity that I need, so it's no longer a viable option. So the process for that tool was work out the requirements, work out what I need it to do, and work out how I think I want it to, how I think I want to be able to achieve that. So for this one, I knew that I wanted to be able to test, especially keyboards. I knew that I wanted a probe to come down and to press the key. And so you think, okay, well, what kind of motor do I need to do that? I obviously need motor control circuitry on my PCB. I also need a way to measure how much force it is. So initially I was using these little force resistors, but these are more like contact sensors than force resistors. They're not reliable. They're not a reliable way to measure force. So I moved on to mini load cells, which actually work great, really accurate. Love them. And so I was like, okay, well, I need a load cell chip on my board. Um, uh, the original design for that was that I got some PCBs made. In fact, I got these PCBs made, which do technically work, although so like the chip that's in this corner up here is a voltage and current monitor that I couldn't make work. I probably just wired it up wrong or something, but you know. I also I then also realized that I needed better position control because the motor is just a simple DC motor. I worked out a way to use a Hall effect sensor and a magnet built into the motor to do position control. So the second version of those PCBs, I added an extra tab for a Hall effect sensor here, load cell up there, and then I also added a flash chip so that I could store data between flashes. And then I worked out that it wasn't going to work, and so I came up with this one instead, which again solves a lot of the problems. Like I needed travel limits, so there's switches, limit switches. Obviously, I wanted to match the form factor of the back of this. So this was like finding this part, like the actual motor carriage assembly thing, was the next big step in how this whole thing's gonna work. And then a lot of like 3D modeling to build cases to make it all fit and work together. And then just a hell of a lot of testing. So for this one, I'm using my dial indicator gauge to track movement and travel. It's got a magnetic base that's just stuck to my radiator, so that I have a hard end stop to push against. And yeah, just a hell of a lot of testing and validation to work out if it's working or not. And a hell of a lot of code writing as well, both in the firmware and the desktop software. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. Like I said, understanding requirements is the biggest thing, and that it's a bit of an art. So yeah. Does it fit? Yes. Does it work for purpose? Yes. Is it reproducible? Yes. Problem solved. Kind of. Yeah. That's a simple way of looking at it. I played some PS2 today, 4x3 on my ultrawide monitor, MS being 9 and the resolution not being bothered by low res games. Yeah, yeah. Well, I've replayed Need for Speed Most Wanted, I think twice now. Once on desktop and once on my Steam Deck. And honestly, the Steam Deck made it much more playable, partially because the Steam Deck is a relatively low resolution screen by modern standards. It's like 900p or something. But also the handheld form factor made it feel more like a mobile game, and you know, you're more willing to put up with low resolution mobile games than you are for desktop stuff. You know, and a 1440p ultra wide, and it's like clearly meant for really 4x3, maybe 16:9 at push, not 21:9. Yeah. But yeah, I hope that's helpful, Alex. Again, if you got any more questions, feel free. Most new cars in Australia seem to be Chinese and a lot of EVs. We no longer have any car industries. They seem to be a lot cheaper with up to 10-year warranties. Over here, I don't know why I went all West Country. Over here in the UK, it is there are a lot more Chinese vehicles. I've seen a hell of a lot of BYD Dolphins and Seals. Um, a few GQs, a few Omodas. Um, but there is still a pretty healthy portion of Fords and BMWs and Audis and Mercedes and Hyundais, actually. A lot of Hyundais. And Nissans. And some Hondas. Yeah. And the French. Um, I bought a PS2 SAS3 component cable, but I've no idea if it's working properly through my AV receiver 22 and never touched component cables until today. Oh damn. Yeah, no. I am very well familiar with SCART and component cables. For those of you under, I guess, about 25, component was yellow for video and then red and white for left and right audio. SCART was a massive um jagged looking many pin, like 22 or 24 pin connector that you mostly used from like your skybox to your TV, analog video signals. How about selling units? Is something like Squarespace, Shopify okay for a website and processing payment, better on PayPal, etc.? Oh yeah, good point. So yeah, you can do direct to consumer sales. That's what I do. Um, Shopify is the most well known, possibly the best in terms of like integrations, stuff like that. Uh, but it is also one of the more expensive ones because you not only pay for an annual fee, which is in the couple £100, couple $100. What do you call it? Come on, Brian. Apologies for the loud motorcycle going by. Um, Shopify is quite expensive. You tend to pay a couple £100 or dollars a year just to have the website, and then you often then if you're taking direct payments, you take a fixed fee plus a percentage fee per transaction, which is higher than I use Wix as an example, and so Wix is both straight up like yearly fee and their what you call it per payment percentages are lower. PayPal takes an awful lot of money. Don't accept PayPal if you don't have to. Um uh but yeah. I think something like Shopify, and especially if you're shipping from the US, you'll probably have better luck with this. A lot of the platforms have stuff like shipping labeled integration directly. Mine doesn't, which is the annoying thing. Uh, which makes things easier. And I'm sure you can also pay a logistics company if you'd prefer to not handle shipping units. I'm shipping, tens of units a month tops versus if you're planning on shipping tens of thousands of units a month, yeah, that's a warehouse job. Um and yeah, I mean you can also it depends what you're planning on making. Something like if you're selling a consumer item, selling it on Amazon feels like a requirement, but it's also incredibly expensive. Incredibly expensive. You can also list them places like eBay as well. Component is red, white, left and right, yellow for AV, plus extra red, blue, green wires for an extra something. Just the red, white, and yellow is AV. Oh, right, okay, yes. I remember. It's been a while. How much should be how much should I be paying off of that market with a bay for a 2 TB SSD nowadays? Why was that a rhyme? um uh 2 TB SSDs I think are like £90 right now. So yeah, 90 quid. I own a PS1, 2, 3, PSP, Xbox 360, One Series X, SNES, Wii U, Wii, DS Lite, Switch Lite, Sega Game Gear in need of new capacitors. Well, that's quite the collection, Chris. I own one of those. To be fair, my wife has another one. I have an original PlayStation, that's it. I also have more PCs than most companies. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, same. I mean, there's 3 in this room, and there's 3 operational upstairs. And then there's one in the living room. And this isn't a big house. Dear. Yeah, but Anna, you can sell direct because you're already world famous YouTube channel with sway larger than a horse, with big old swinging tail. Yes and no. A lot of as far as I'm aware, a non-zero amount of my sales are from SEO directly. Foldings used to be made there. Here, they no longer exist. Fords are imported from wherever they're now made. Ryzen, yes, you did. I asked, why was that a rhyme, and about 90 quid. Um, for a 2 TB SSD. I mean, what do you mean market with a bay? Because and right. Well, I don't know what used SSD prices are, but brand new, like, yeah, 90 quid for a 2 TB SSD. Like, that's what I guess, Mike paid for a 2 TB SSD, last week. At least from Amazon, but still. When did the price rocket? Well, to me, £90 for a 2 TB SSD is insane value, so I don't know. I do not know. I was thinking up to 40 would have been the price, 1 TB being 20-ish. Where are you finding 1 TB SSDs for £20? I'm gonna have to go on eBay just to work out what the hell you're talking about. Yeah, like a refurbished 480 gig Kingston A400 is one of the first listings, and it's £30. Like a Fanzhang 2 TB SATA SSD is £96. Uh, yeah, no. Yeah, a Crucial BX500, again, SATA 2 TB SSD is £83. That's about as cheap as you're gonna get it. SSDs are incredibly expensive and have basically always been. Like, a 2 TB SSD being under £100 is incredible value to me. Like, I know that I'm coming from the SSDs didn't exist when I started building PCs road. Like, my first SSD was an OCZ Vertex 4, 120 gig, and it was like, I don't know, £200. NVMe prices came down very quickly compared to SATA, I agree with. Just not £10 or £20, whatever, for a 1 TB drive. Like, I don't think hard drives are that cheap. It can vary from $70 on the low end up to like 200 or 300 on the high. Yeah, I mean, I actually just finished reviewing a 4 TB drive today, and that's £330, probably 400 or so dollars. And for a 4 TB SSD, that is incredible value. Although it turns out that you can actually get 4 TB SSDs for, what you call it, 200 instead if you don't go for a very fast Gen 5 drive, which is even more incredible value. Not further than £60 per terabyte new, 40 TB, £40 per terabyte used though. Yeah, I mean, so the 2 TB drive that I say I picked, he bought, was £45 per terabyte new, and I thought that was pretty incredible value. Yeah, I have 3 in my media room, computers, that is, excluding dining, 4 in the lounge, 2 in the bedroom, 1 in the kitchen, all usable, 4 in the hallway, and who knows how many in pieces, and heaps of new parts. I mean, fair, if they're useful. Any company pays the power bill. 4 TB SSDs for 200 is still £50 per terabyte. Not crazy, but not bad. Picked up a quadrology of them at CEX around that price. Fair, yeah. That weird Antex case, Striker case I bought off you many moons ago will soon be getting a new home with a mate of mine. Nice. I vaguely remember that. I hope it's useful. Is that the ASRock one? In your opinion, what's the best DDR4 SSD for the value at 2 TB? I think you mean PCIe Gen 4. In which case, I don't know what the absolute best value is off the top of my head. And it also kind of depends if you want full fat Gen 4 or half fat Gen 4. Because there's NVMe 1.4 drives which do 5 gigabytes per second or so, and then there are NVMe 2.0 drives that do 7. So of the ones that do 5, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. The Crucial P3 Plus is normally a pretty great value. I'm trying to remember what full fat ones that I've done. The SK Hynix, which is now the Solidigm P44 Pro or whatever. The the SK Hynix P41 Platinum is the same drive, like exact same drive, just rebranded when SK Hynix sold off their SSD division to merge it with formerly Intel's one into Solidigm. But yeah, a Crucial Drive or SK Hynix slash Solidigm. Off the top of my head, that's not researching exact pricing. Intel Optane, hasn't existed for a while. Intel sold their SSD division quite a while ago. I can't remember if it's bounced hands more than once. Solidigm are the people who make the Intel 660p Intel SSD, I think. I can't remember who owns Optane now. Optane sounded like a really cool technology, but it's not really a useful SSD form factor, or NAND package form factor, I guess. These days, or at least as far as I'm aware. I might be sleeping on it, but as far as I'm aware, standard NAND flash is doing just fine. I think SK Hynix got the IP for Optic. Do you know, I think you might be right. I think you might be right. I seem to remember that somewhere in there. Looking around in here somewhere. Which would then explain why Solidigm has the rights to make Intel drives. It's the words like solid state and paradigm crossed together into Solidigm. I really kind of hate those sorts of things. I guess I'll look at NVMe then. I mean, fair enough. The drive, like the £90 drive that I am talking about, is a Gen 4 M.2 SSD. I honestly can't remember who makes it. Let me have a quick look. Actually, this is a video you're going to see tomorrow, including a giveaway. Yeah, I've done one of those in a while. Where'd it go? Oh, silicon power. It's a silicon power like UD90 or UM90 or something. Yeah. The water cooling focus case that was absolutely awful to build a custom loop in. Genuinely abominable. Just saw a 4TB NVMe on eBay for under 40. Not looking to buy just yet, getting a feel for the market. Sure, I'll ask in the Discord when I need. If that's not used, that's a scam. Like, the price of the market for SSDs, especially NVMe ones, but even what you call it, SATA drives, is about, yeah, between 40 and 60 pounds per terabyte. If you're paying less than 40 to 60 pounds per terabyte, it's probably a scam. Like the reason that the that 7.68 terabyte drive that I um made the video from CEX about is amazing is because it was like £200 for 8 terabytes or 7.5 terabytes of storage, and that is an amazing deal. But that was an amazing deal, and they all sold out instantly. So yeah, 40 for especially a 4 terabyte, like £40 for a 1 terabyte. Okay, I could believe that on the cheaper end, but I could believe it. 40 for a 2 terabyte, that's pushing it. 40 for a 4 terabyte, no chance. That's a picture of an SSD or just a straight scam. That's used 12-year-old hard drive. Yeah. And as someone who's bought used hard drives, although actually, come to think of it, the 2 used hard drives that I have both still work. And I bought them over a decade ago, and they were already old at that point. There you go. Deary me. Yeah. Oh yeah, tomorrow's video, please check it out. One, because it's a build guide, and I put a lot of effort into it. And two, because it's a sponsored build guide where I get to give away the entire PC at the end. So please do check that out. Leave a comment, all the jazz. Because that really helps me out. And yeah, I've also, so it's for AMP from Coders, the game server management panel. I did a video setting it up before, and it's actually something that I use now. It's really handy. Like it lets you set up game servers in. Well, I set up a satisfactory game server with 3 clicks. It does everything for you. It's amazing. Lets you update stuff. There's analytics. There's dashboard. There's security. It's wonderful. Highly recommend it. What's the AI market like in Europe? Anything happen in that space worth watching? Mistral, what's your favorite AI models? I mean, AI is a pretty global thing. I mean, as someone who's very much on the outside of everything, I hear from like friends in companies that the top brass is interested in AI stuff. The actual workforce, developers and stuff, are not super interested in it. Although to be fair, even I actually do have a GitHub Copilot subscription right now to use. Right now it's GPT-5 to do some. I hate the term vibe coding, especially because I'm actually writing code for it myself, not just like getting the AI to do absolutely everything. But anyway, it is really cool that you can go from like 0 to 80% with one fairly small prompt and have like an entire working website with everything that just works. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. I'm probably the wrong person to ask. My views on AI are, I'd say, pretty cynical. My main machine is still running with 6 hard drives manufactured in 2012 HGSTs. Nice. I've got my 4 15 terabyte drives for 4K total. I did know the company was selling them, but they were 2 years old from a server deployment, and they do have 3 million hour lifespans, so yeah, fair. Isn't vibe coding simply unscripted plagiarism? uh, kind of. Uh, Coding is a lot harder to call plagiarism, um, especially when a lot of code, especially these days, is free and open source. And so, but yeah, sort of, but not really. I love that the UK government did a co-pilot trial and found zero benefit to productivity, despite staff saying it was great. Yeah, I did see that. Heard you mention Optane. Always wondered, is Optane just the Intel implementation of NAND storage, or is the memory completely different? From my memory, and this is dredging up a decade-old memory, I'm pretty sure that the layout is structurally different to standard NAND flash. At very least, it was very early 3D, but I'm pretty sure that it's because the whole thing is that it was meant to be used as like a write cache for hard drives, and so therefore it was a lot more endurant than standard NAND flash. At least NAND flash was at the time. Um, so yeah. Um, Ryzen sent me a link. Oh no, that's 100% a scam. Yeah, I mean it's copying Samsung's branding, but badly. It's a it's a M plus B key, so it's a SATA drive. So it could only run at they claim that it's PCI Gen 4, but best case it has 2 lanes. Yeah, so it says with NVMe protocol and PCIe 4.0 by 4, it does 7.3 gigabytes per second in reads and 6.8 gigabytes per second in writes. It has a slot that has only 2 lanes maximum, which is almost always used for SATA. So no, this is a fake drive. Yeah, this is fake. 100% fake. 200% fake. Yeah, no. It's closer to the CPU than standard NAND and has features sort of like DRAM. Yeah, but also the actual flash itself, as from what I remember, it's not just NAND flash repackaged. The actual Intel Optane memory itself is a different structure and design to standard NAND flash. AI makes sense for some use cases. Hello, DT. For some use cases like pharmaceutical, molecular simulation, it's more the way it's being shoehorned into everything that's frustrating. I agree. There are plenty of really, really cool use cases, and like, I mean, I saw a YouTube short about a farming like equipment that was like basically high power lasers that would kill weeds in your field. So instead of you needing to buy expensive pesticides and then ruin your soil with expensive pesticides and ruin the chemical, yeah, instead of that you can use lasers, but it uses cameras with AI models to detect the weeds and like find them in the image and laser them. That's something that you could not do otherwise. That's pretty cool. But yes, ish. I don't disagree with you. Just ordered the AG34UC 346 UCD, and it's down to £500 now. Nice. I mean, that's a pretty great value for, if I remember rightly, a very nice OLED. I mean, it's basically the same panel as what I'm using, the Evnia 8600. So yeah. Hmm. You're not wrongish. Right. We've just tipped over the usual hour, and I am so sore. So I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you all very much for watching. If you're new, these are every Thursday night at 8 p.m. UK time, so feel free to pop back next week. And yeah, please do check out the video tomorrow. And yeah, I'll see you all, well, tomorrow, Monday, and next week for stream. Alright.